The WNBA has just experienced the most intense 48 hours in the history of women's professional basketball, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Supermax contracts are being finalized, legendary players are returning to their roots, million-dollar backcourts are coming together, and star players are being moved across teams. And right in the center of all this chaos, the Indiana Fever have secured the most dangerous backcourt in the league. Kelsey Mitchell is officially back with a $1.4 million deal, making her the first player in Fever history to earn over $1 million. And she isn't even the biggest headline of the day, which shows just how wild this free agency period has been. Today, we're breaking down the entire WNBA free agency landscape, covering every major move, every blockbuster agreement, and every key signing that truly matters. And I'm going to tell you which teams came out on top this offseason and which ones may have made a massive mistake. So let's dive right into it.
Free agency negotiation period has come and gone, and now we're in full throttle finally. Kelsey Mitchell will be returning to the Fever as she has been offered the Supermax. Azurá Stevens will not be returning to the Los Angeles.
Let's start with the move that matters most here. Kelsey Mitchell has officially agreed to a one-year Supermax deal with the Indiana Fever worth $1.4 million. That number is historic, as Mitchell becomes the first player in franchise history to break the $1 million barrier. She jumped from earning $250,000 last season to $1.4 million this year, a staggering 560% increase, and she earned every bit of it. In case anyone needs a reminder of what Mitchell delivered last season, she averaged 20.2 points per game, led the league with 111 made three-pointers, earned first-team All-WNBA honors for the first time in her career, and finished 5th in MVP voting. She showed up in every single game while her team battled through injuries, and when the playoffs arrived, she elevated her game even further, averaging 22.3 points per contest and dropping 34 points in Game 1 of the semifinals against the Aces. Caitlin Clark even went on national television 2 weeks ago and made it clear, saying their top priority was bringing Mitchell back, calling her the perfect backcourt partner who makes everything easier, and the Fever followed through, getting the deal done and officially reuniting one of the most lethal backcourts in women's basketball. But here's the angle no one is really talking about. This marks the final time Indiana can apply the core designation to Mitchell, because starting in 2027, players with 7 or more years of service are no longer eligible to be cored. That means once this season ends, Mitchell becomes a true unrestricted free agent. The Fever now have 1 year to prove that Indiana is where she belongs long-term, 1 year to chase a championship, and 1 year to show her there's no better situation elsewhere. The pressure is real, and Mitchell knows it. Clark also said something else during that same broadcast that should put the entire league on notice, making it clear they were chasing a title last season and fully expect to be the favorites this year. That's not optimism, that's a bold statement. And Mitchell's new deal just turned those words into reality. Now here's where things get even more interesting, because while Indiana secured its core, the rest of the league has been busy reshuffling rosters, and some of those decisions could end up backfiring in a big way. But before we get into that, let's talk about the second biggest shock of the day.
On this video when a bomb dropped, and it is that Kelsey Mitchell has signed a 1-year contract with the Indiana Fever. Okay, so later on in my video, I'm going to say the biggest news.
Nneka Ogwumike is heading home. The 1-0-time All-Star, the 2016 MVP, and the WNBA president who helped negotiate the very CBA fueling all these massive contracts, is returning to the Los Angeles Sparks. After spending 2 seasons with the Seattle Storm, Madam President is making her way back to the franchise that selected her first overall in 2012. This is a franchise-shifting move. At 35 years old, Ogwumike is still performing at an elite level, playing like she's in her prime. Last season, she averaged 18.3 points, 7 rebounds, and 2.3 assists, while shooting an efficient 51.9% from the field and 36.7% from beyond the arc. Those are all-star numbers on any roster, and now she's joining a Spark squad that already features Kelsey Plum, Cameron Brink, and De'Erica Hamby. Just picture that lineup for a moment, with Plum running the offense, Brink anchoring the paint, Hamby controlling the forward spot, and Ogwumike stepping in to complete the core. That's not just a playoff-caliber team. That's a group that could realistically push into contender territory with the right finishing touches. The Sparks haven't reached the postseason since 2020, but that drought looks like it's about to come to an end. Ogwumike even shared a social media video featuring the Hollywood sign transforming into her name, with the caption suggesting this was never a goodbye, just a "see you later," and now she's officially back. She also told her sister, Chiny Ogwumike, that she's excited to return home, and her exit from Seattle was handled with complete class, posting a heartfelt thank you message with no controversy, no drama, just pure professionalism, which is exactly why she leads the Players Union. But Los Angeles isn't finished yet. Reports suggest the Sparks are in talks with the Chicago Sky about a potential deal involving Rickea Jackson and Ariel Atkins. And if that move becomes official, this roster could transform overnight from a lottery team into a serious playoff threat. The Western Conference just became a lot more competitive, and things are only getting started because moves are happening all across the league. So let's break down everything else you need to know.
JJ is going back, and it is no surprise to me at all that Kelsey is going back. Caitlin Clark said she was the #1 priority on a broadcast. There is no other better big three, better backcourt than Kelsey, Caitlin, and the big three being Kelsey, Caitlin, and AB. The only thing I'm a little...
The Las Vegas Aces are bringing the squad back for another run. Jackie Young has agreed to a 1-year max deal worth $1.19 million, making her one of the first 7-figure players in WNBA history. Pair that with Aja Wilson confirming she's staying, and Chelsea Gray still leading the charge, and the Aces have their championship core fully intact. They just won the title, took down the Indiana Fever in 5 games in the semifinals, and swept the Phoenix Mercury in the finals. And now they're running it back with bigger contracts and even more motivation. The defending champs are not backing down. At the same time, the Toronto Tempo just made a move nobody expected. They signed Marina Mabrey and Brittany Sykes to 2-year max deals worth over $1 million per season. That's $1 million backcourt for an expansion franchise. In year 1, they're not taking it slow, they're going all in. With Sandy Brondello stepping in as head coach after leaving the New York Liberty, this is a roster being built to compete right away. The Dallas Wings made a move that turned heads, sending Diamond Miller to the Connecticut Sun in exchange for Ray Burrell, a deal that looks like a cap-clearing play to prepare for the #1 overall pick. All signs point to Paige Buchers being next in line, and if they pair her with Arike Ogunbowale, who just received a core qualifying offer, Dallas could instantly form one of the most electric backcourts in the league. The New York Liberty are holding steady. Brianna Stewart made it clear she's not part of the free agency chaos, and both Sabrina Ionescu and Jonquel Jones are expected to return as well. After winning the 2024 championship, the Liberty are focused on building a long-term powerhouse, now with Chris Marco stepping in to replace Brondello. The big question is whether that championship culture stays intact through the transition. The Minnesota Lynx made the expected move by courting Nafisa Collier, but they could be on the verge of losing key contributors. Alana Smith is exploring free agency and looking at new opportunities, while Natisha Hiedemann strongly hinted at a departure with a farewell-style post. If both players leave, Minnesota's defense, which ranked best in the league last season, could take a serious hit. And this is where things get interesting. If you've been paying attention, there's one team that should be making calls right now, the Indiana Fever. They need a rim protector who can stretch the floor, and Smith fits that role perfectly. A co-defensive player of the year who can block shots and knock down threes is exactly what Indiana is missing. Now step back and look at the bigger picture, because that's where everything starts to come together.
On my Twitter that this could just be a meeting. People doubted me, but look what happened. Because Nneka Ogwumike is signing with the Los Angeles Sparks, a team that she spent a lot of time with. She was there from 12 seasons up until 2023, so she hasn't been gone that long. She won a championship with them in 2016. She was the MVP, and though she has been in the league for quite a while, Nneka Ogwumike is still a strong player. And the Sparks are definitely in win-now mode. They have Kelsey Plum to lead that.
What we're witnessing right now is the most game-changing free agency period in WNBA history. The new collective bargaining agreement has completely shifted the landscape. The salary cap has surged from $1.5 million to $7 million. Player earnings have jumped by nearly 400%. Teams now have real spending power, and players finally have the leverage to demand what they're worth. The result is a massive reshuffling of talent that's going to redefine the entire competitive balance of the league. But not every franchise is handling this moment the right way. So here's how things stack up with the biggest winners and losers so far. The top winners are the Indiana Fever. They secured Kelsey Mitchell on a supermax deal and already have Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Alyssa Smith under contract. Lexi Hull is a restricted free agent who isn't expected to leave. Sophie Cunningham is likely returning. And they still hold cap flexibility along with the number 10 pick. This is a front office with a clear vision, executing its plan with precision. Another big winner is the Las Vegas Aces. The defending champions are keeping their core intact with Aja Wilson, Jackie Young, and Chelsea Gray all returning. They have championship experience, continuity, and arguably the best player in the world in Wilson. Until someone proves otherwise, they remain the team to beat. The Los Angeles Sparks also come out as major winners. Bringing Nneka Ogwumike back is a huge move, and if the reported deal for Ariel Atkins goes through, this roster could instantly jump from the bottom tier to a serious playoff contender. The Western Conference just gained another dangerous team. The Atlanta Dream are another team rising fast. Adding Angel Reese for 2 mid-level first-round picks could turn into a massive steal. Pairing one of the league's most dominant rebounders with a team that already posted a strong record could push them into elite territory. On the other side, the Chicago Sky are clearly struggling, losing Reese, potentially moving Atkins, and continuing to deal with long-standing organizational issues paints a concerning picture. Until there are real structural changes, it's hard to see things improving. The Seattle Storm also take a hit. Moving on from Nneka Ogwumike, parting ways with Noelle Quinn, and possibly losing players like Gabby Williams and Brittany Sykes signals the start of a full rebuild. This is a roster being taken apart piece by piece, and it could take years before they return to contention. Then there's the middle tier, teams like the Minnesota Lynx, Connecticut Sun, Phoenix Mercury, and the Golden State Valkyries, who are still making moves and could swing in either direction depending on how the next 48 hours unfold. Free agency isn't finished yet. The draft is right around the corner, training camp opens April 19th, and the season tips off May 8th. There's still a lot more to come, and the story of this offseason is far from over.
Let's move on to the Chicago Sky, because after the Angel Reese trade, the Chicago Sky fans were just in utter disarray. It was depressing. There was nothing going on, and everyone was thinking that Jeff Pagliuca was the dumbest GM in the history of GMs. And I did mention I did not think that this was the end of it, because they did save.
But let's bring it back to the Indiana Fever, because here, they're always the main story. The roster right now looks loaded. Caitlin Clark is under contract, Aaliyah Boston is locked in, and Nalissa Smith is still part of the core. Kelsey Mitchell is secured on that $1.4 million Supermax deal. Lexi Hull is a restricted free agent expected to return, and Sophie Cunningham is an unrestricted free agent, with both sides motivated to get a deal done as signings open soon. That's 6 players either locked in or very likely coming back. 6 players who made a semifinal run last season. 6 players with real championship-level chemistry, and 6 players who know exactly what it feels like to be minutes away from the finals and come up just short. Now, the focus shifts to completing the roster. They need a power forward who can protect the rim and stretch the floor. They need a reliable backup point guard, and they need experienced depth, and they've got around $3.6 million in cap space, plus the number 10 pick to make it happen. Keep an eye on Alana Smith, Azura Stevens, and Kennedy Burke. All 3 are unrestricted free agents. All 3 fit perfectly into this system, and any one of them could push this roster from a semifinal contender to a true championship favorite. If they land Smith, you can make a serious case this becomes the best roster in the entire league. Even without a major signing, though, this team is already elite. Clark and Mitchell form the most dangerous backcourt in women's basketball. Boston is a top-tier player. Hull brings elite perimeter defense. Cunningham adds toughness and edge, and Stephanie White is the coach who pushed this group to a game 5 inches, the semifinals, despite dealing with major injuries. The arms race across the league is officially on. The Las Vegas Aces are reloading, the New York Liberty are staying steady, the Atlanta Dream just added Angel Reese, the Los Angeles Sparks brought back Nneka Ogwumike, and the Toronto Tempo are spending like a long-established powerhouse. Right in the middle of it all sits Indiana, with arguably the most talented young core in the sport and one of the most driven superstars leading the charge. This upcoming season has all the ingredients to be the greatest in WNBA history. More teams stepping up, more money flowing through the league, more talent than ever, more attention from fans, and more pressure across the board. And when everything is decided, when the confetti falls in October, there's a strong case that one team will be standing above the rest. One team lifting the trophy, one team proving that chemistry, culture, and Caitlin Clark together are simply too much to overcome. The Fever didn't just win today. They built the foundation for a championship run. And now the rest of the league has to figure out how to slow them down. And that's going to be a serious challenge. That wraps everything up. A full breakdown of every major move, every trade, and every signing that truly matters. Now it's your turn. Drop your power rankings, and let's see who you've got in your top 5 after all these moves.